Hi, this is David Hunt with Volusia County Community Information, and we are here at the Disaster Recovery Center located at the Volusia County Department of Health off of Holsonback and Daytona Beach. And we have Andrew Friend with FEMA here to tell us a little bit about what's going on here and how residents can get the assistance they need.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here today. And this is a very important center. It's called a DRC, which is a Disaster Recovery Center.
Who should come to the DRC?
So any resident of any county that's in a declared area or designated area for individual assistance, which happens to be here, Volusia. Also, some of your neighbors are part of that, which are Lake and Seminole. So anybody from any of those designated counties can come here and seek assistance.
And what kind of assistance is available?
So it depends on your situation. So when you come to a Disaster Recovery Center or DRC, really you're going to sit down with an expert and you're going to tell them your story and they're going to help you navigate. There's different types of assistance depending on what you're dealing with as a disaster survivor, and they'll help you navigate those waters.
Okay, and is it just federal assistance or state and local?
So that's a great question. So the DRCs are set up in support of our state and our local partners. So really the main part of the DRC is federal assistance. However, at the DRCs, at least in this region of the state, we've been seeing many state and local entities that will come out, what's called a VOAD, a voluntary organization active in disaster. So oftentimes the survivor can see if they qualify or are eligible for any federal assistance as well as state assistance. But one thing I wanted to hit is you do not have to come to a physical location to apply. There's several ways you can apply if you're watching this right now. First, you can go to disasterassistance.gov, and you can do an application on there. Also, you can look on there and see if there's any DRCs or disaster recovery centers close to you. Another way you can do that is you can call a number, which is 1-800-621-FEMA. That's 1-800-621-FEMA, FEMA being 3362. Or there's even a application for your smartphone you can download on your smartphone. However, if you've already done that, or if you'd rather do it in person, you can come into any DRC in the state, give them your application number, or apply for the first time, and they'll help guide you through that process.
And what are the hours of operation? What can people expect when they arrive? Will they need any documentation or anything on them?
Yes, definitely you'll need documentation. So to start with, depends again on your story, but you'll need identification, okay? You'll need some sort of documentation showing that you're actual resident in the affected or the designated counties. You'll also need to be affected by the disaster, right? So you'll need to bring in some information to talk about what you're experiencing as a disaster survivor. And oftentimes they'll ask you, depending on what you're looking for, maybe a copy of your lease or some mail that shows you live at a property, etc. Again, if you go to disasterassistance.gov, it will give you a lot of this information. Nevertheless, if you come into a DRC and either start an application or look up an application, they'll let you know if something's missing, and then you can come back at any time to update that. And the important thing is these DRCs, once they open, and this one here is now currently open, they're open from 9 to 6, so 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 days a week.
Okay.
Yep.
Very nice. And then, so what does the process look like? Is there long wait lines to get in? Is there appointments? How would you just show up? How does that work?
It's just first come, first served. There's no appointments. We do our best to work through the line as quickly as possible and make it the best experience we can. Just depends on any given day and time of the day how many folks are going to be here. But no matter how many people are here, we're going to work to try to make it as quick and as efficient as possible.
Any advice for anybody coming to visit the DRC, somebody in need? Is there any advice to those people?
I would say, first off, just be ready and be able to share your experience. Each disaster survivor's experience is different, whether it was housing that was impacted or, there's a bunch of different things. So just be ready to communicate that story, your personal story. Make sure, again, you have your identification and proof of residency and any other information that might relate to the damage of your property or whatever that might be. And one of the questions, too, you'll be asked is if you currently have insurance. So just be ready to, and by insurance, I mean for housing or flood, etc. So just be ready to answer those questions and have supporting documentation. However, if you show up and they end up needing a piece of documentation you don't have, you can come back at any time and provide that in the future. And it is meant to be a one-stop shop for people to be able to come in and either they can apply for the first time, they can follow up on an application, or even if they receive a letter from FEMA in the mail saying they're ineligible for one reason or another, they can bring that letter in and see if there's any additional information they can provide to hopefully go from ineligible to eligible.
And be patient. be patient as well, because we're trying to help. Everybody's trying to help, and there's a lot of people in need and a lot of people affected. So patience and kindness will go a long way. So thank you, Andrew, for your help.
My pleasure.
A friend. I love the name. Very nice.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll be helping a lot of people. Appreciate everything you do.
Hey, it's our pleasure, and thank you for coming out here to get the word out to more people. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is David Hunt with Volusia Today.